Around 3 million years ago, the waters of the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean still merged and the South American continent was separate. Important geological phenomena led to what is today the eastern part of the Isthmus of Panama, emerging from the seabed to form a long, narrow strip of land that separated the two oceans and created a land bridge between North and South America. After an arduous journey across the inhospitable Darien region of the Isthmus of Panama, Vasco Núñez de Balboa discovered in 1513 the Southern Sea, which later became known as the Pacific, thereby marking the start of the countdown for what would be the Panama Canal. The concern to join the two oceans was an ever-present concern of the Spanish crown, to such an extent that orders were given to seek other routes apart from the Isthmus of Panama, as when in 1779 Carlos III sent Spanish engineers to explore a route across Lake Nicaragua. In the 19th century, Spanish interests spread to other countries such as France, England, the USA and Colombia. Geographers and explorers proposed different routes. The German Alexander von Humboldt, for example, traced on a map as many as 9 possible routes to join the Atlantic to the Pacific. Besides all these projects, some realistic and many fanciful, a legal battle got underway to control the as yet hypothetical future route. In 1835, Colombia awarded building rights for an interoceanic canal to the adventurer Charles de Thierry and later to several other people. Meanwhile, in 1846, the United States and Colombia signed an international treaty on safe passage along the Isthmus, and the United States and the United Kingdom agreed on another in 1850, guaranteeing the neutrality of any canal that might be built in Central America. With the inauguration of the Suez Canal in 1869, Ferdinand de Lesseps, its builder, became a universally well-known figure. It was he who decided, at a congress held by the Paris Geographical Society on the 15th of May 1879, where the Panama Canal should be built. On 1st of January 1880, the first symbolic shovelful of earth of this enormous project was dug at the mouth of the Rio Grande on Panama's Pacific coast. Work did not get seriously underway, however, until 2 years later. In 1884, over 17,000 workmen, mostly from the Caribbean islands, laboured to dig a huge trench. As it was soon realised, the tropics are not the same as the dry, almost desert climate of the Suez Canal. Panama's tropical jungles protect a very fragile soil, which when the green mantle protecting it disappears and it is lashed by abundant and prolonged rainfall, quickly crumbles away. In a few hours, the heavy rains destroyed the work of entire weeks, even months, making deadlines longer and budgets higher, and taking the company to bankruptcy. Its many outraged shareholders accused the project managers of corruption. In 1890, there were scarcely 1,000 workers still in their jobs. In 1894, the Compagnie Nouvelle was set up in a final attempt by the French to rebuild the canal, but it was to no avail. Beside the lack of financial resources, disease such as malaria and yellow fever decimated the working population. In 1903, there were barely 700 workers left. From 1882 to 1903, the French removed over 60 million cubic metres of earth, built many bridges, railway lines, ports and hospitals, and made navigational channels at both entrances to the canal. Unfortunately, over 6,300 graves of technicians and workers were dug during that period. In 1904, an Isthmian Canal Commission was set up, presided over by John G. Walker, and George W. Dawes was named governor of the Central Panama Canal Zone, while William Georges, Chief of Health, undertook healthcare measures to control malaria and eradicate yellow fever. By 1906, the plans to make the canal, based on several sets of locks, were ready, and work began immediately. Lake Gatun was created artificially, closing off the Chagres River near its mouth. The walls of the Clouer Bracat were lowered, the approach culverts dredged, settlements were built, large military bases constructed to defend them, and everything made ready for the inauguration of the canal on the 15th of August 1914, with the passage of the freighter Ancon, the first vessel officially to cross the interoceanic canal. Both oceans are at the same level, and the locks have the single purpose of raising the ships to the level of Gatun Lake, and then lowering them in reverse operation. The three locks of the Panama Canal are formed by 88 sluice gates and a total of almost 250 valves that control and channel the water needed to operate the locks. The lock operating system is very simple. Each lock has chambers 330 metres long by 33.5 metres wide, where ships move up and down using the water from the Chagres River. Each lock has two sets of chambers in parallel that allow double and simultaneous lock operation. The entire process is based on the principle of communicating vessels along which the water flows by gravity, seeking the level between the chambers. Although the system does not involve any pumps, there is a special component consisting of towing locomotives, mules, essential components that ensure rapid and safe transitions, as well as effective control of the vessels during lock operation. The towing locomotives are used for towing, braking, and keeping the ship centred in the chamber, preventing its coming into contact with the concrete walls. They provide ships with effective help, mainly the larger vessels, although the latter use their own propulsion machinery to move inside the locks. The maximum towing speed is 3 miles per hour. 4, 6 or 8 locomotives are used depending on the size of the ship. The locomotives receive the ship at the entrance to the locks, aid it during lock operation, then release it at the exit at the other end. On the 22nd of October 2006, the people of Panama approved the expansion of the Panama Canal by means of referendum. The country's economic future and leadership of world maritime trade were at stake. The current lock system, dating from 1914, posed a series of limitations in the face of the growing demands of maritime traffic. The first and essential factor was the size of the lock gates, which restricts the number of crossings. Bigger gates would allow ships larger than the so-called Panamax vessels to travel along the canal. The second factor is that well-founded estimates indicate the canal will reach its maximum capacity of 330 million tonnes between 2009 and 2012, a figure that amounts to nearly 14,000 annual high draft crossings. The result of much research was a proposal to set up a third set of locks, an idea that has met with an approval of the Panamanian people. In combination with the existing locks, it would involve the passage of up to 600 million tonnes a year, almost double current maximum capacity. Furthermore, it will enable modern post-Panamax ships to use the canal. Construction of the new locks will enable Panama to continue as the hub of international maritime trade. Between 2007 and 2014, construction will lead to the creation of over 40,000 direct and indirect jobs. About 7,000 people will be directly involved in the building work. This will boost the country's economy, exports will grow, gross national products will rise and tourism will increase. Thanks to this huge engineering product, Panama's future will be guaranteed.